Welcome to Leaders and Learners. My name is Tanya McKenzie, and you can find me at the intersection of public relations and leadership. Join us as we talk to organizational leaders, elected officials, experts, authors, artists, and personalities, sharing their stories, talking about how they got to where they are and how they continue to learn and lead the way. So without further ado, let's get into it. Greetings, good people. Welcome to another edition of Leaders and Learners, where we all know that the best leaders are lifetime learners. I will always emphasize it's those people that are not afraid or very unafraid to get uncomfortable, that are even more afraid to be sedentary in life, in their way of thinking, in how they live and grow, right? In their relationships. The best learners, the people that have the best quality of life, are those that will think outside of the box and live outside of the box that even they built for themselves. And today I have a woman I am so excited to have, Miss Vera Jimenez, on our show. Now, some of you might know her as the pretty face, the big, beautiful smile on Channel 5 News doing the weather. But I happen to know her as a philanthropist, a civil servant, because she is always serving her community. Listen, you have those people out there that you're always wondering, like, "Ooh, if I talk to her, will she talk back? Will she look at me like I'm crazy if I try to be her friend?" But let me tell you, today I'm going to let you get to know this amazing woman just a little, with the promise that she will be back because she has some news to share, and we might have something to celebrate later on this year. So, Miss Vera, welcome.
Thank you so much for that great introduction. And thank you, Tanya. You and I met through civic work, but we have become friends. And so thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to have this conversation with you, and more importantly, to connect with your audience. As you know, I love meeting new people, and that's how you and I connected. We both, are people that like to be social, and that's how we connected. And so thank you so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Listen, I do want you to tell the people though, because I want you to tell people how your holidays went. I think that resonates a lot with people, and it'll help them get to know you, because I know what's near and dear to your heart, but share it with them. How did you spend your holiday?
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I spent it primarily with my family, but it was really interesting because the day before I spent, the week leading up to spending the time with my family, I was at the luncheon to kick off the Salvation Army, ringing the bell. I love doing that. It's 2 hours of your day. It's for a great cause. The Salvation Army never turns anyone away. And someone challenged me to raise money for them. And then another challenger jumped in on the challenge, if you will. And so we were raising money for the Salvation Army. And that was a lot of fun. This time, instead of being out there by myself or with a few other Rotarians, because we do this as a Rotary Club, we had the privilege of having a quartet sing with us. And so they were out there for 2 hours singing a cappella with us. And so that was the start of my holiday year. I want to say my holiday experience. And then after that, the following day, we went and we delivered a check to Richtown Family Center for $2,000, and that was to help them with the holidays and the buying toys for kids and food for families. And so that was also done through the Redondo Beach Rotary Group, and I was the one that was able to go down there with a couple of other Rotarians and hand over the check. So it was a very fun, giving, just putting you in the spirit of things. So it was great. Thank you for asking.
I love that. I love that. Listen, you do a lot of giving, you do a lot of volunteering, but you also do a lot of working, and you also do a lot of working out. And there are so many people that do not know how to balance, how to prioritize self, health and wellness, mental health. Anyone that follows Vera, you can see that she really takes the time to not only empower herself, but you out there, and stay in your best mindset. So where did all that come from? And like, how do you balance? What is that about you? And how does that balance happen?
For me, it started as a really young girl. My mom always told us that we were what we put in our body. So for me, it always started with nutrition. That was always the first thing. And because I was the youngest of six and I had two brothers that ran cross country and a sister that ran cross country, I followed in their footsteps. I just did what my older siblings were doing. So I became a cross country runner. I started running when I was probably 12, probably even younger than that, 10, because we used to run to Thrifty. If anybody remembers Thrifty, which is now Rite Aid, we would run to Rite Aid, buy a scoop of ice cream, eat our ice cream, and then run home thinking that we were doing something good for ourselves. So I did that with my sister. But I understand that if I want to bring out the best in my mind, if I want to bring out the best in myself in terms of just having the stamina to get through the workday, I have to start by always doing something that I feel is first and foremost for myself and also then for the people that I serve. Because when I am at my best, I'm able to give others my best. And so it started as a monkey see, monkey do thing. And then I started to understand the impact and the implication of what nutrition and exercise did for my body and how it helped me perform and how it helped my mental health. Because as you know, Tanya, you are a fitness woman as well. And you know what that does to your endorphins, what it does to your mindset, how it releases energy, both good energy and sometimes toxic energy. So you know all of that. And understanding that is what helps me prioritize my health and then everything else.
So Thrifty, let me get back to that. I was, I go these random towns because my kids have baseball, and I ran into a Thrifties the other day. But my favorite part of Thrifties was always the ice cream.
Yes, I too.
Let me be honest, but it was interesting to see one. Like every so often, I'll see like a Church's Chicken, and then I'll see like a Thrifty. So it ages us a little bit. But I did want to follow up with something I saw. You lit up a little bit when you talked about your mom. How much of an influence has she had on who you are today?
She is pretty much the reason why I am who I am. Both, and listen, as human beings, we're not perfect. So I am not going to tell you that my mom was perfect because she wasn't. She's a human. And as a 51-year-old woman, I can say that with confidence, just like I know that I'm not perfect. I'm not the perfect daughter. I try to do the best I can, but I know that I'm not. And I know that she did the best that she could, but there were things that she didn't do that I learned from. So I took all of these lessons from my mom that I learned. I learned how to be a nurturer through her. And then I also learned how to nurture through her because sometimes she didn't nurture me the way I wanted to be nurtured. So it made me more aware of understanding what people need and how to do the best I can to give them what they need. So that was a lesson that I learned from my mom. But she really truly is the inspiration for everything I do in my life. She just is. She's the first thing that I think of in the morning, and then the last thing I think of when I go to bed. I say my prayers, and she's always in my prayers. Sometimes I'm on the spin bike and I'm dying, and I say, Lord, give me the energy so that I can get through this cycle and give that energy to my mom so you can keep her healthy. So she's just a big influence in my life.
I love that. You made me think of a term. It's relatively new, but it's almost like it's something we should be teaching now. Love language, how to love someone. She didn't nurture you the way you needed. I think love language is a newer term, but it's something that many of us are learning to really embrace, especially when we're trying to nurture other relationships like marriage. What did your relationship with her and even your siblings teach you about marriage? I love your marriage, by the way. I think you guys are just so cute and so fun. But I also know that marriage is hard.
It
So
is.
what are you taking from your upbringing into that relationship that makes it so powerful and strong and fun to be around. Like when people are around y'all, I don't feel like a third wheel. You feel included, you feel a part of it. But that's an art, right? So talk to me about that.
There are two things. So the love language that I learned from my mother. So my mom's love language was food. We didn't have a lot when we were growing up. We were pretty poor. We went hungry a lot. So when my mom was able to provide, for her it was all about the nutrition, giving us the best nutrition, the best nourishment that she could give us, because that was her way of demonstrating love. What I needed was for her to say, I believe in you. You can do this. Showing up to my cross country meet. She never showed up to one cross country meet in my life. Celebrating my accomplishments, encouraging me in my schoolwork. None of that existed. For her, it was showing me through food. She never understood that that's not what I needed, that this is what I needed. So as a woman and as an adult, now that I have this partner that I cherish, and again, I'm not perfect, Brian's not perfect, neither one of us, but we hope that our flaws work well enough so that we can build a life. But I'm going to give you a quick example of how I'm trying to learn from what my mom did. And that Brian's belief is, if you're not 10 minutes early, you're 10 minutes late. And when you are late, you disrespect people's time and you disrespect them. So that has been, and we've been married, we've been together for 14 years now. That has been a big thorn in our side in terms of our relationship. And then one day, probably about 3 years ago, I got up and I thought, I love this man. So if I love him and I know that that's a pet peeve and that really drives him batty, why would I not, as his life partner, do everything I can to remove that simple adjustment in my life to make him happy, to make him more comfortable? And so today, Tanya, I am really happy to say that not always, but today for our podcast, I showed up early. I logged in at 12:15. I said, I am going to make him proud.
Brian, I hope you heard that. I'm always proud of you, so I hope he is too.
Thank you.
That is awesome.
Understanding the love language. And again, that's what he needs. And also to like the caressing of his back. I know that on Sunday nights, we watch TV, hands up, leaning over, and he likes that physical touch. So why wouldn't I give that to him as his wife?
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I hope you guys learn something. It's not always about you when it comes to a relationship. It's not just about marriage, it's parenting, siblings, friends. It's not always about you. If that relationship is important to you. Now, the other relationship that's very important to you is your relationship with the Lord. You are very religious. We don't talk about that often, but is that also something that came from your mother? And I see it blossoming in you more over the last couple of years. Am I tripping or what?
No, you're absolutely right. My mom wasn't a particularly religious person, in that, yes, we were taught how to pray. We prayed as kids. We went to church, went through the sacraments. But I think that, if I'm honest, I think that there was a point in my mom's life where things went crazy. My dad died when I was 3. She became very resentful and very bitter. And so somewhere along the line, I feel like she lost her religion a little bit. And even though I'm Catholic, I'm Christian. I consider myself a Christian as a Catholic. I don't care what you label yourself. I think if you believe in Christ, Christ is Christ is Christ. And so, but I've always had that. I was a religious studies major in college. And then I went back and became a meteorologist. But that has always been something that was within me. And you're right, about maybe, I want to say 2 years ago, I started following Robin Roberts, and she does this morning message and prayer. And I was always afraid to show my religion or share my spirituality or share that with the public, because I thought that that was frowned upon, since I work in news and I work in television. It's like people don't want to know that part about me. And then I realized when I was watching Robin embrace her faith and sharing it, and the impact that it had on me, it was profound. And I thought, if Robin Roberts, if she can do that with her millions of followers, I can do that with my little community. And those that appreciate it will appreciate it, and those that get offended will get offended, and they will just go away. And not that I want them to go away, but that's okay. They just don't belong in the circle or in the community then. And that's why, as you mentioned, in the last couple of years, I don't pound it into anybody's head, and I don't try to make a big deal about it, but I do celebrate those moments. And because it is an important part of who I am, I share it.
You shared so much. You're even writing for a publication now that is all about the love of God. Like, talk to me about that. Let the people know where they can get some of your nuggets, your gems, and your thoughts that you share with the world.
Thank you. The name of the magazine is called But God, and the title of it and the premise of it is just like, we've all had these things happen to us, and then but God showed up, and God opened up a door. God opened up a new way of thinking. This was happening in my life, but then God showed up and spoke to me, put this dream in my heart. And that's kind of the premise. And that's why it's called But God. And I do write about it. The last issue that I wrote for, as we closed out the year, it's a quarterly magazine. You can find it online. I talked about second chances and how God gives you second chances. And it gave me a second chance at marriage when I found Brian. And because Brian and I don't have children, it gave me like when he gave Rufus, our dog, to us as a couple, I felt like he was giving us a second chance to get a small glimpse of what it is to be a parent. But to me, it was really interesting because Rufus was turned into the dog shelter with a broken leg and was going to get euthanized. And someone took him and rescued him and nursed him back to health and then put him up for adoption. And so I feel like God gave Rufus a second chance, all the while giving us a second chance. And so I talk about like how I see God every day in the world, but it's just being aware, because we could have just adopted Rufus and I could have not seen God's hand in it, but I saw God's hand in it. And maybe that's just because I'm spiritual or I'm religious or I feel like I'm really connected. But to me, it was like, oh, it made perfect sense. God was giving us all a second chance.
You're not just connected to your religion, you connect to every environment that you are in. You connect to the city you live in, you connect to the people at your work, you connect to your work. Like that, I think it's an underrated quality of someone. You have to want to connect. That's the other thing. When it comes to public relations, I think the ability to connect stories to people, to the target audience, is hugely important. I watch you connect to everything you touch. It's almost like you don't get involved in something if you cannot authentically connect to it. So, I think it goes deeper than just the religion and the work. It's like, that's who you are. That's your spirit. And I wish more people had that, because then you wouldn't have to try to figure out, do she like me or do she not? Off the top, if Vera likes you or not, because you could easily not connect with people, and you do choose that. And my question for you, and share that with the audience, is how do you decide what you don't want to connect to? How do you decide who you're not going to deal with? Because if someone watched you, they would think, oh, she just likes everybody, she's just nice. And I know that's not true, but how do you decide that in your life? Like, when do you decide, you know what, I'm not dealing with that?
I think it's when people connect to you, share the same values, the same philosophy about life, the same ideas and the same understanding. And not that if somebody doesn't share the way I think or doesn't understand, it doesn't mean that they're wrong. It just means that we don't connect. And I'm not going to try to force a relationship because there's something in it or there isn't something in it. Like lately, I've been practicing this JOMO. We all think of FOMO, fear of missing out. And I'm trying to embrace now more this idea of JOMO, the joy of missing out. And I think sometimes, yeah, the joy of missing out is one of those things that you're talking about in terms of the connection. I can meet somebody, and if we don't connect because we're at different places in our lives, then that's okay. Like, I'm not going to force a relationship with someone that has little kids and that I don't have a lot of commonalities with, because I don't understand what it's like to be a parent, and they probably don't understand what it's like to be a middle-aged woman with no children. It doesn't mean we can't be casual friends, and it doesn't mean that I won't like you. It just means that there's not a lot of bonding, and that's okay. Like, I'm going to allow myself the joy of appreciating that, but not forcing that relationship. And it's the same thing with like people that I go into business with, people that I network with. It's all of like the joy of it's not about saying no and missing out. It's about saying no and opening up the opportunity for something else, and for giving your time and connecting with others and allowing others to come into your life who you never know what will bring. You never know what joy they will bring you, what ideas they will spark. And so it's just that, and not feeling the pressure of having to be all things and connect all things. And that is becoming something new. You were talking about leaders or learners. That's something that I'm learning to do. And it's exciting. I haven't learned how to say no to everything yet, because I still say yes to a lot, but it's beginning the journey of learning how to say no.
I love. That's my new word, girl. So when you see me posting it, know that you gave it to me.
You can have it. It's free, baby. Take it.
One of the things you don't always say no to is those sweets that they serve in the office. I see that. Oh my God. Yeah. So, but my question is, you brought up Robin Roberts, and as a meteorologist, as a TV personality, who else do you look to for like inspiration and motivation and guidance?
As a TV personality,
Yeah.
I think people like Robin, because I think she's very authentic on TV. And I'm not going to lie and tell you that I watch her. I watch her on Instagram, because when she's on, I'm at the gym, or I'm walking the dog, or I'm doing something. But I think immediately when you turn on the TV, you get a really good sense for like who's authentic and who's not. I think the first person that I learned that from was Oprah. For better or worse, you saw her journey and her struggles, and her being really truly authentic to who she is, and not pretending to be something that she wasn't. And I think that is really important, because people, even through a two-dimensional medium like YouTube, like video, like television, it doesn't matter what it is, people immediately sense whether you're being true or you're being authentic or you're being inauthentic. And so just being okay with understanding that not everyone is going to like you, and not everyone should like you, and that you're not going to be everything for everybody. You just need to be who you are. And for me, I'm going to be honest, Tanya, that has been a challenge, and it still is, especially as I'm, like I mentioned, I'm 51 years old. and trying to remember that I don't have to keep up with the young girls. I can be who I am with my wrinkles and, I've been told I need filler here. I've been told that, I need to do Botox more often than I do. I'm not comfortable with doing Botox every 3 months, every 6. I'm good with once a year. And, and sometimes, I run late on my grays. I mean, sometimes it just understanding that it's not about perfection. It's about showing up and being real. And today, this is what it is. And I'm really sorry. It's the holidays. I don't get to go see my colorist until, January 2nd, I think. So,
but you do know that we are harder on ourselves than other people, because had I not heard you just say that, I would swear that you already went to the salon, that you already did these things. Like, what are you talking about? Oh my God, Vera.
no, it's just, but
you have the best legs on TV. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Miss Vera?
Thank you. Thank you. That's really kind of you. But, I think it's just.
I think we all have something
Yeah.
that we don't like and something that we are super proud of. I am proud to be friends with women like you. Let me just be very clear about that.
Thank you. Likewise. It's me.
But I don't care. Those are the things that make me not even care about my grays. I mean, I don't want the camera up too close, but when you have things that mean more than sometimes what most other people have, there are people that never really experience the love that you and Brian have, the second chance with the dog, the second chance with the marriage, even, girlfriends that they know, look, when things get tough, I know I can call her. I know I can get a laugh from her. I know we can go work out together while I vent about something. There are people that really do not have those things. So I try to lean into those even when I'm having those moments of self-doubt, because it immediately erases what I don't have and allows for me to celebrate what I do have.
And it's great. I want to just, emphasize that you do, even if the relationships are not always perfect, those relationships that you build that are like that, those are the relationships that carry you through, because we all have ups and downs, and the relationship is only as strong as you make it. And yes, we all have relationships that we need to walk away from. There's that saying, people are here for a season. They're here for what is it? They're here for a day. They're here for a season,
or a reason.
A reason. We all have those relationships, but if you find one that is worth cultivating and you find one that is worth hanging on to, you have to be realistic that you're not always going to agree with everything, and that's okay. It's okay. You don't have to agree on everything.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of your amazing life, you're going to be putting some of that good stuff in a book coming up. Yes. Can we talk about that really quick?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Okay. So first of all, why would you write a book? I mean, it's not like you don't have 18,000 other things going on.
Well, it actually started with like people poking, just saying, hey, when are you going to write a book? When are you going to write a book? When are you like different people in my life, different walks of life, would you ever write a book? And so this kind of came up over and over and over again. And then I met a woman who said, I said, I don't know what to write about. My story is no different than anyone else's. I don't have anything different. It's just my life is like everybody else's. We all struggle, we all work hard, we all fall, we all get up. And she was saying, you need to write the book. Like, is it the relationship about your mom? Is it your brothers and sisters? Is it your career? What is it? And so for me, I finally realized that, again, when God plants a seed, this seed was being planted over and over and over again. And then finally the light went on. And I think when the light went on is when I said, now is the time. This is now not just me. It's the God putting a thing in your heart that you're supposed to do for the benefit of maybe one other person, maybe for the benefit of inspiring somebody. And so this book isn't just about me. It's about my mom, my brothers and sisters, the lessons, it's about lessons that I've learned along life's journey. It's about the things that I've learned to do and not to do from my mom, from my brothers and sisters, from my aunts, from friends, from people in the community, just as an observant and a learner, because I think in order to learn, you have to be willing to step back and watch and recognize patterns. And so this book is really about a little bit about my life, my background, being born in Mexico, coming here illegally, all of that stuff. But then the lessons that I've learned that have gotten me to this point in my life. And that's really what the book is about. And I hope that it resonates with others. And I I I think it will, because sometimes when I think I post things on Instagram that I don't think people will connect to, someone will go, "Oh my gosh, thank you for sharing that. I completely agree. Oh, I felt like that too." And so I'm hoping that that's what it is. It's just something to encourage.
What does someone have to do to get you to come speak at their organizational event? I'm asking you that because you're an excellent speaker. You are quite the philanthropist. You give of your time. But I know there are people probably watching this right now and be like, I want her to come. I'm going to call her. But you got to have some criteria. Okay. So let the people know, what are the types of things you decide that you will be involved in, especially knowing what you know and giving the way that you do.
Thank you. It's really easy to get a hold of me, but I think first and foremost, I think the things that people ask me to come and talk to little kids a lot, and the little kid career days, and I'll do those as much as I can, as often as I can. But I find sometimes that like the second and third graders, those are kind of hard to connect to because they don't really, most kids don't watch a lot of TV anymore. The idea of being a meteorologist, sometimes they don't understand. So those are a little bit more challenging. I find that like the high school career days are a little bit more, because now I can take what I do on television and say, look, this medium is fading out, and I understand that as a professional, but this is now what you see on YouTube.
Yeah.
And this is how this medium is transforming. So I really I have these talks that I talk about, and they're all on generational wealth. And so what generational wealth means in terms of, yes, money and building to pass on to the next generation, but how you build generational wealth through health. And what the generational wealth is, what you give to the future generation. So it's the lessons and the practices that you keep every day that people around you see and that pick up. And that's also generational wealth. And then it's also building generational wealth through faith. And so it's these three different things. And so those are mostly geared towards young adults, mostly young adults, like college students. And so I like to speak to them because they're at this point in this transitional period when they're going from actual thinking as kids and understanding that they're moving into a new phase of life where they're adults. And so hopefully these things will help them make wiser choices about maybe how to be more judicious about their spending, how to be more judicious about the things they put in their food, and how much screen time they get versus outside time. Maybe how to connect, maybe not with Christ, but to a higher power, to understand that there's a spiritual thing. For me, it's called Christ. For me, it's called God. But for you, it could be connected to something else that is a higher power. But I think that a spiritual component is always really important for young adults. And so just starting to plant those seeds so that as they move into career and the stress of career, they have things that will hopefully go, oh yeah, I remember that one lady talking about such and such.
Right. I've been leaning more into the young people also, talking to them about their personal brand and how that shapes how people see them and the life that they want to have. So all of these things are important. I was really excited to hear that you were doing some work with Boys and Girls Club.
Yes.
They are one of the nearest and dearest organizations to my heart. How did you wind up doing that?
Slowly, very slowly. I'm on the board of directors for the Boys and Girls Club of the LA Harbor, and I've been serving with them. This is going to be my third year. I've worked with them, but not as a board member. And then I also do a little bit of support in Garden Grove, where I grew up. So I started with Garden Grove and then slowly moved into the LA Harbor just because it's closer to where I am. And the Boys and Girls Club of the LA Harbor really connected with me because I believe and understand that not every high school graduate wants to go to college or should go to college. And they do this thing called pathways to success. And so if you know you want to go to college, they help you move into college. They help you with filling out applications, understanding what criteria you need to get in, understanding grants and how to get loans and all of that you need it. But then they do something called career bound. And that's for kids or young adults, because they'll be young adults probably by the time they graduate from high school, that know that they don't want to go to college. And so we connect them with apprenticeship programs, skills that will help them how to interview. So soft skills, hard skills, how to become, heat and air conditioning technicians, how to become welders. We try to connect them with apprenticeships through some of the unions at the harbor, through the electrical unions. So we give these kids avenues to success so that everybody doesn't feel like they need to get forced to go into college, because we know that that's very expensive. We know that that doesn't always work out for everybody. Sometimes they rack up great amounts of debt that they don't need. And once you start your young adult life in debt, it's difficult for you to spiral out of it, and it can spiral out of control, or how to get out of it before it spirals out of control. And so these are the things that the Harbor Boys and Girls Club does so well that I thought I need to be a part of that.
I love
I need
that.
to be a part of that.
Last time I spoke was, I think it was last year for Black History Month. They had me come out and do a thing, but love, 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 love Boys and Girls Club and the YMCA. I used to be an executive for the Y. So, any time that any of you out there that are listening can give of your time and self, skills, knowledge, like do it, do the thing. Really quick, I want you to give me three words that you would never want affiliated with you.
Victim.
Oh,
I never want anyone to call me a victim. That's like, that word doesn't exist in my life. I had to think about this. So victim, I never want anyone to associate me with the word sometimes quitter, but I think sometimes quitting can be a good thing because you need to understand when to cut bait. But I think that the other word, weak, I never want anyone to associate me with being a weak person. I'm going to give it all my best. So I think it's victim, weak, and I don't want anyone to ever think of me as an ingrate. I am grateful for everything I have. I am grateful for the struggles, for the lessons, for the falls, for the doors closed in my face. I am grateful for all of it because it has gotten me to this point, and I feel like I'm really blessed in my life. So those are my three words.
I love that. I love that. I just wanted y'all to see her dimples real cute because he's so cute.
Thank you.
Just so cute. Oh my God. Okay. I love this. I almost hate letting you go because I feel like we don't spend enough time together. I'm like, let me just hold on to her a little longer. But I do want to say that you are very good at what you do, on TV and off. Your spirit in the community that you live and serve is abundant. Like every room you walk in, it just feels lighter because you are there. But I think that has a lot to do with who you are as a person. Then the more I get to know you, the more I see the star in you. That has nothing to do with TV. It is just a spirit. It is a breath of fresh air. It is openness and it is heart. Like you do everything with heart. So I just want to let you know, I wish you the best of luck with
Thank
everything in
you.
2024. Please, once the book is done, come back so we can talk about it because I got to read it and then we got to talk about it because I know it's going to be good because you do have life lessons. And for those of you that don't know, follow her on Instagram or Facebook. She's always sharing just her experiences. And sometimes those are things that teach us. When you have an experience, good, bad, or otherwise, and you share that with me, it enriches who I am because now I know either to not make that excuse or not make that mistake or how to get out of it. Most people learn, if they're smart, they learn from other people and not necessarily bumping your head yourself. And Vera shares, she's very open with all of those things. So I just want to encourage you to connect, follow, laugh along, clap along, and then share and continue to share.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Let the people know how they can get in touch with you, stay connected to you and your story, and know about the book before everyone else does, because everybody like being an exclusive, especially with pretty faces like you.
Oh, thank you. So before I share though, Tanya, I just want to say that I have to thank you from like the deepest part of my heart, all that you do for the community. You are also a big giver. You give of your time, you give of your knowledge, you give, and you are a wife and a mother. You're also an entrepreneur. And those are the things that I love about you, in that you share also your experiences, and you lead the way. You lead the way, and you show us how to do it. You show us how to lead with courage. And sometimes leading where you're stepping into a bunch of mines, grenades here and there and everywhere, but you charge ahead, and you pave the way for people like me and for women like me to not be afraid, and to understand that sometimes the bombs are going to go off, but you just got to keep pushing forward. So I want to thank you for that, and for being so good in our community and bringing out the best in people and helping us see true colors, in the community. But let me tell you now how people can get a hold of me. People can get a hold of me on my website. It's jimenezvera.com, and that's a great way to reach out to me if you have an event coming up. So jimenezvera.com is my website. My Instagram page is V as in Vera, T as in Tom, Jimenez, VT Jimenez. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's not VT. It's VT Jimenez TV. Vera, if you just kind of type in Google or Vera Jimenez TV, it'll pop up. And then Vera KTLA on X. And then on LinkedIn, it's just Vera Jimenez.
And I will go ahead and include all of those in the caption. So when you guys go ahead and look in the caption,
I had one more. Sorry. Facebook. Facebook is at vera.jimenez.10.
Lovely. And when can they catch you on TV for those that don't?
For those that don't, you can stream us on live if you don't get TV. If you've cut the cord like so many have, and that's the new trend, you can catch us online, stream us online. I'm on Monday through Friday. I do the 5, the 6, the 10, and the 11. The 5, the 6, the 10, and the 11. And Monday through Friday. And that's where you'll find me. KTLA.
I love it. I love it. You guys catch her. She's good. She's very good. I love her behind the scenes stuff though. I'm nosy. I'm trying to be all in her business. So
and I'm always happy to share. That's always fun. People get a kick out of that.
Really do. So thank you for being here. Please, please, please keep in touch and keep us posted on the book. Let's make sure that we have the opportunity to support you and share the knowledge that you continue to share with the rest of us.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a blessed day, everybody. And thank you for having me. And please feel free to reach out and connect.
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks for showing up to the podcast where we all know that the best leaders are lifetime learners. When you get a sec, take a moment, leave a comment. what you think about today's episode, and share it with someone that you know could use the gems that were dropped today. Follow and subscribe. You don't want to miss who's coming up next. You never know who could show up here and what they could say. For your professional needs, marketing, PR, communications, and leadership, make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at Sand and Shores, or hit us up at sandandshores.com. Again, thanks so much for showing up. We appreciate you, and we'll see you soon.